Bizarre Brain Comics. Doo-doo. Roll away, roll away, roll away. And I keep rolling away. Hello. Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some old comics, talk about the creators, the art, and break it down, and of course the stories as well. Today I want to look at a story printed in this book here. It's DC Special Presents number 16. It's Superheroes Battle Super Gorillas. This book contains four stories, reprinted from stories from the early to mid 60s, featuring 4 different superheroes. Has one of Superman, one of Batman, one of Wonder Woman, and one of the Flash. We're going to talk about the one about the Flash. This is the Flash versus Gorilla Grodd. Grodd was a recurring villain of the Flash, and if you've been keeping up with over the years of the Flash TV series, you would be somewhat familiar with Grodd, although they have a slightly different take on Grodd than what is shown here. And this story is, okay, well, the book is from 1975. And the story, it unfortunately doesn't say give a date or an issue that it was originally printed in. So this is probably early 60s. It was written by John Broome and drawn by Carmine Infantino. Infantino was a popular DC artist at that time, late 50s and early 60s, early mid 60s, and he also drew the Batman story that's reprinted in this book. And of course, he was instrumental, of course, in bringing in the Silver Age of comics, with the first appearance of the Flash in, was it 1956, 57? I can't remember exactly. And, of course, he did the Flash for several years. Moved on, did some of the other DC superheroes. And Infantino also worked for Marvel Comics. He did one version of Spider-Woman, the one in red. I cannot remember her name. And this is early on. This is in the 70s. And he even did the Marvel's Star Wars comic for many, many issues. Okay. And of course, I said it was written by John Broome. He wrote just about everything that DC produced in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. But he was a staple of the Silver Age. So, and all the silliness that went along with the Silver Age. Let's go and take a look at Superheroes Battle Super Gorillas. The Flash versus Gorilla Grodd. There. You get to see the entire cover. Try to get some of the glare off that. And this is the one we're talking about here. Okay. In the 50s and 60s, in the silly days of the Silver Age, DC learned that their sales figures took a little boost every time that there was a gorilla or dinosaur on the cover of one of their books. So they come up with all kinds of excuses to have that. Or also cavemen, you know. And we saw that when I covered the, when I mentioned Tomahawk. Because he had cavemen for frontier story, cavemen, dinosaurs, and even had a giant gorilla at one point. But this is superheroes. So let's take a little look here at the Flash. And here's the splash page, Carmine Infantino. On the other side here is the last page of the Wonder Woman story, just before it. And of course, this is a splash page, just kind of roughly representing an event in the story. And the title here is "The Reign of the Super Gorilla." Here we see. It says, "There's only one place for someone like you, Grodd, and that's behind bars." Grodd, you're wonderful. Ha ha! Here comes the newest member of the GAS, Grodd Admiration Society. Ha ha ha! And written by John Broome and drawn by Carmine Infantino, and Joe Giella did the inks. Okay. And we start with a prisoner who at the prison who is being released, ex-con, and he's being released and say, "Go forth and do crime no more." Well, and then he walks with a new suit and just a few bucks in his hand, and he doesn't know what's in his pocket. But then we discover that's standard style 6-page correction, 6-panel 3-tier page layout. Here, again, with just a little adjustment, and he goes. We find out that did I skip a page? Nope. That this criminal was actually had the mind of Grodd, Gorilla Grodd. When he had been defeated before by the Flash, he implanted his mind in this man. So he goes to the jungles of Africa, to the hidden sanctuary of Ape City, the city of super intelligent apes, where Grodd comes from. And then when he's there, his mind takes over, and his body is transformed back into a gorilla. Good transition there. You can see him gradually changing, and all his memories, and all of his powers, mental powers, come back to him. So he walks into Ape City, and he's concerned that he'll be recognized and be set upon, because he's a criminal to them too. But here he is, and he sees this, and overhears these female apes as they're walking by, these gorillas, and he is just smitten with this one lady, and he discovers that, overhearing that she is to be the bride, soon to be the bride of Solivar, who is the leader of Gorilla City. So Grodd goes back to his own old laboratory, which is hidden away, and he does some monkeying around and exposes himself to some kind of ray that he's invented. Then he walks back about in Gorilla City, and everyone that sees him, "Oh, how handsome you are!" Everyone just falls for Grodd, thinks he's just wonderful, just the greatest thing there is. And pretty soon he has become the leader of Gorilla City. Everyone just loves Grodd. He's emanating these love waves, I guess you could say. And then he goes to Central City, where to try to take over there and try to confront his old foe, the Flash. And here the same thing happens. Everyone just sees him and just falls in love with Grodd. Well, Barry Allen, finally getting into the story, is in his apartment. Is Barry Allen, also known as the Flash. He hears news on the radio of Grodd and go, "Uh-oh, Hooray for Grodd. Well, what the heck? Great Scott! The people yelling like mad in praise of Grodd? I can't understand. I can't understand this. All I know is that Flash better go into action at once to stop him. And he pushes, opens the latch on his ring, and his special compressed Flash costume zips out, and he vibrates and himself into the Flash costume, and the Flash costume also protects his body from the friction of the air as he passes by. They just kind of ignore the fact that the faster he goes, the greater the pressure against his body of the air, of course, which causes the friction. But it also makes it more difficult to run. So if he goes fast enough, so he'd have to vibrate himself right through the molecules of the atmosphere, because the faster he goes, and pretty soon it would be like walking through water, and then pretty soon trying to walk right through a solid wall. But it's a comic book. What do you expect? So here he is, and there's the crowd. There's around Grodd, and I like the way the many positions and stuff to really indicate the speed at which the Flash is running. And as he approaches Grodd, he goes, "Ooh!" He falls for him too. Oh, Grodd, you're wonderful. Of course, Flash. I thought you knew that all along. Ha ha! And Flash says, something's not right here. And he zooms away. And he's zooming across country. He's got to think about this, because he's trying to clear his head, because he knew when he approached that Grodd was a villain. And this was kind of customary for, especially in the Flash stories, for Infantino to have these series of long, thin panels, which helped giving him to show the Flash zipping long distances at incredible speeds, as you see here. He finds a spot where he's clear-headed again. He knows Grodd is evil. Grodd is a villain. So it's about 100 miles from the city. So he circumnavigates the city, zipping around at about 100-mile distance, trying to see if there's any change. And it's all at that one spot, about 100 miles from the city. So he can't go back into the city, or he'll fall under Grodd's spell. So he goes back, and he tries to call people in that he knows in Central City, and they've all fallen under his spell. So it's not just him, and not just some people. It seems to be everyone. So then here we have some kind of, let's see here, what does it say? And inside Central City at this moment, doesn't say where, is some kind of political machine, and they think, oh, let's make Grodd the governor. The one guy says, why? What? That sounds silly. Run a gorilla for political office? So they turn on the TV that's showing Grodd, and then the other guy falls under a spell. So it's not just the distance, but even over television and radio, apparently. Anyone who sees Grodd, at least. So for some days, Grodd is gloating to himself, and Flash has been hiding out in this cabin at the border of that zone there. See a nice detail in that background, even though it's not much background. It's obviously a cabin and wood. You can see all the wood grain, and just like the nice backgrounds in these panels, this apartment, nice detailed bookshelves, television, etc. So the Flash is keeping up on things but he can't go back. Keeping up on things with newspaper, and then he comes up with an idea. So he tries to go fast. If he goes fast enough, maybe he can get to Grodd before that spell takes over. And he tries and he gets to Grodd, and even as fast as he's going, and it still works. But he touches Grodd, and zap! He's been electrified. By raising the voltage of my magnetic radiation, I can cause my body to give off a powerful electric current. You don't dare come near me. That's where you're wrong, Grodd. It only means that I've got to capture you without touching you. An extra little difficult that I'm going to overthrow. Because he had vibrated his molecules at a frequency that matched the frequency of the radiation that's been Grodd has been going off. So he doesn't touch him, but he zips around him. Look, I hear the way he does this. Now, Infantino did this a lot. He would just have like a street and show indicate background buildings when everything around the central figures are just in silhouette. It was a shorthand. He did the same thing up here. It's just a shorthand without having to draw all of the background. So he creates a zips around at super speed around Grodd, creating a horrible tornado, zipping him up in the air, and then letting him drop. Boom. Which knocks him out. Then he grabs Grodd and hauls him off to prison. And says, and so Grodd's attempt to gain power has failed, but the lesson of this case is time. We must constantly be on our guard against villainy, and even when it masquerades as something good, we must be ready to expose it. And, of course, it's hyperbolic, but it's true enough, because I'm not going to get into stuff. But, yeah, and here we go, Grodd for governor? Nah, we must have been stupid. And now the people say, oh, we're so glad we've got the Flash here to protect us. And then there's Grodd in his prison cell. He'll be back some other time. And then here's a house ad for a crossover with Batgirl and Robin, both of which were also here drawn by Carmine Infantino. And then it goes into a Superman story. Look at this ad here for something. Justice Incorporated. That's it was a short-lived comic book, but it's based on the pulp pulp magazine from the 30s and 40s of the Avenger. Of course, at this time, the Joker had his own short-lived title. Of course, Ghost Castle. I'm not familiar with that one. It must not have lasted too long, that particular horror. And then Sword and Sorcery, again, it didn't last that long, but came back decades later, is Claw. Sword and Sorcery. And that was fun. That was good. Like I said, all kind of silly stuff, but it's fun. A fun read. John Broome did a pretty decent job of conceiving and writing the story. And of course, Carmine Infantino he was very slick, consummate, professional, a true cartoonist. Did the his Grodd is easy to spot anywhere. In fact, I should have brought it. I forgot. I should have used it because I've got a figure of Gorilla Grodd. Hang on. Here he is. Gorilla Grodd. A little bit on the dusty side. It's a nice figure. When my wife got it for me, she didn't realize who it was. She just knew it was a gorilla figure. And she knows I like apes and stuff. And as soon as I saw it, even without, I knew it was Grodd. Now this is, of course, based on Carmine Infantino's version of Grodd. And there's just a certain way he draws the apes, but especially Grodd. In Grodd we trust. And Grodd has been a recurring villain in the DC universe ever since. Even in, I think, Challenge of the Super Friends, and I think possibly even the Justice League animated series. I'm not sure offhand, but so that's about it. It was it's a good fun read. Remember, this is the silly days of the Silver Age, but Grodd is a good villain, and Infantino was a good artist. Later his style evolved a little bit, but he was still clearly Infantino. by the time he was doing the Star Wars, I did not really care for, even though he was perfectly adequate. He did a good job. But I just did not care for his style when he was drawing Star Wars for Marvel. I don't know. I can't put my finger on why. It's just maybe a certain kind of stiffness. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Anyway, that ought to do us. Comics are fun. Hope you liked it. Like, share, and subscribe. Share it with your other comic book friends. And remember, comics are art. In Grodd we trust.